Alright, today I'm going to share my insights on generating spin for your loop. Okay, watch this. First example against backspin. Now the second. Which one do you think had more spin? My forehand loop or my backhand loop? Actually, the backhand loop had more spin. Notice how smooth and effortless it was. Now, look at the forehand again. It's easily blocked. I've finally figured out why my forehand has less spin than my backhand. It's because on my forehand backswing, my forearm and wrist are tense, whereas my backhand is naturally relaxed. Completely relaxed, this is the feeling. On my forehand, the backswing still has a slight backward pull. Whenever I try to power loop, my swing tends to go backward like this. This isn't necessarily wrong, it just reduces the amount of spin you can generate. So, I suggest you try to mimic the feeling of your backhand. Look at the backhand preparation, upper arm, forearm, wrist, and racket head are all hanging down naturally. When I loop from this angle, watch the block. You can see it's very spinny. So, for the forehand, let's copy that angle. Don't let the forearm be tense on the way down. And don't let the wrist lock up. Create the same relaxed drop as your backhand. This means your forearm is lower than your upper arm, your wrist is lower than your forearm, and the racket head is lower than your wrist. Now, watch this block. I'm not even accelerating. But the spin is immediately there. See? The spin is there instantly. Much more spin than before, right? If I tense up even slightly, it becomes like this. Let's try again with the same effort. No spin. I've always had a better backhand. I realized my forehand can be spinny, but only when I add a lot of speed and power. So, the key question is, how can I generate that spin while staying relaxed? This was a big breakthrough for me. My backhand always starts from this angle, with everything hanging down, forearm, wrist, and racket head. Apply the same to your forehand, upper arm drops, forearm drops, wrist drops, and the racket head drops. You must find this feeling. Ensure these key points, upper arm, forearm, wrist, and racket head, have absolutely no tension during the backswing. Avoid holding it stiffly. Instead, let everything hang naturally in your backswing. Try this tomorrow, your spin will improve dramatically. Watch my arm closely. On these shots, you can see the ball kicking forward. I'm not accelerating hard. The point is that this level of relaxation is already enough to produce significant spin. So, for your forehand, check yourself for these issues. Is your upper arm held up? Is your forearm tense? Is your wrist stiff? Is the racket head pointing up? If you find any of these, correct them immediately. That was the first key point. I'll cover 2 more, and then we'll talk about acceleration. The next key point is about relaxation. To master it, you must understand the transition between being relaxed and engaged. If you're always relaxed, your shots will have no quality. If you're always tense, you'll just hit flatly through the ball. What makes a great loop? Relaxing during preparation and then engaging at contact. That's the key. Most amateur players can't find this feeling. So, what's the solution? I've developed a method for this. To learn relaxation, start by relaxing your entire body. Remember this phrase, total body relaxation. That means your torso, legs, and arm are all loose. Focus on finding that feeling. I've tested this with players at my club, and it works very well. What's the feeling? When you swing, use zero effort. Don't even tense your core. Just be completely loose. Relaxed backswing, relaxed follow through. Start by practicing this way. Trust me, you will find the feeling of true relaxation. Let's have Haigu try a couple and see if he can do it. Even slower with the motion. That's it. That's relaxation. The goal isn't even to make the ball go over the net. Just perform the motion very gently, without any intent to hit the ball hard. Still tense. This is the common problem. You think you're relaxed, but there's still hidden tension. Let me explain the feeling. What is relaxation? If your backswing is fast, you are guaranteed to be using tension. Watch. A very slow backswing. Slow back, slow forward. Slow back, slow forward. You're still trying too hard to make the shot. Your tempo is too fast, you'll never relax that way. Okay, that's an improvement. Good. Now, building on that, keep the slow backswing, but accelerate to 30% effort at contact. Backswing was too fast. Slow it down. Again. Slow backswing. Now you need to create a clear contrast in speed. Your backswing is relaxed, and then you accelerate through the ball at contact. So, you relax, and then add a burst of speed at contact. Relax, then accelerate. It's about speed, not brute force. So, it's like my backswing is driving at 20 miles per hour, and my forward swing accelerates to 50 miles per hour? 20 to 50. Let me show you. 20, 50. 20 to 50. That one was good. Much smoother. 20 to 50. Beautiful, high go. Much better. That's the feeling you're looking for. And that 20 miles per hour backswing speed should always stay the same. It's your constant. When you practice your loop, follow this progression. Don't just start by smashing the ball. If you focus on hitting hard, it's very difficult to keep your backswing relaxed. So, start with the entire motion being effortless. Then, gradually add acceleration. Now add a bit more quality to the shot. Excellent. See, your explosive power is starting to show. Again. Relax, then engage. That's the rhythm of a loop. Do you feel it? Before, you were making the loop far too difficult and strenuous. First, you have to trust this feeling. Trust that you can make a good shot even when you feel this relaxed. Try that feeling again. Relax, then accelerate through the second half of the swing. Relax the arm on the backswing, then generate power from your body. Everyone, this is the feeling to aim for. You must follow these steps. Haigu is the second person I've successfully taught this to today. The problem is that we can often understand the theory, but we can't execute it. Exactly. That's why I'm focusing on providing a practical method. Your backswing is always relaxed. The body engagement happens later, at the moment you start your forward swing. Just follow the same progression. First, relax your entire body. Remember, a fast backswing means you are tense. A relaxed swing is naturally slow. Slow. Fast. Add the body, slow. Fast. See? This is how you build the foundation for a professional level power loop. When you practice, start like this, very loose. This applies to penhold grip too. Start completely relaxed, as if you're using no effort at all. Then, keeping the backswing relaxed, add a little quality. Relax, add more quality. Relax the body, then add quality with the body. Practice following these exact steps. The formula is relax, then accelerate. But how do you learn to relax? By starting with the whole motion relaxed. Master the feeling of relaxation first, then add acceleration. But you must start by being fully relaxed. This is why I tell you not to get into your stance at first, it often introduces tension into the arm. Okay, third key point. This is for players who can brush the ball but aren't generating much spin. I'll teach you a method. Watch this. First version, same swing speed. Now the second version. The second one has massive spin, right? Let me explain the difference. In the first example, I was brushing the back of the ball. In the second, I was brushing from underneath the ball. To do this, stand a little further back from the table. If you're too close, you won't have time to let the ball drop. Give yourself about an arm's length of space. Okay, serve the ball. If the ball is here, you have to let it drop. Watch my backswing. I drop my body and my arm to get below the level of the ball. Then, you loop the ball just as it starts to fall from its peak. You must practice it this way. If you contact the ball at the top of the bounce, your swing will naturally brush the back of the ball. If your backswing is high, by the time you reach the ball, you'll be hitting the back of it, making it hard to generate heavy spin. Loop on the fall. Stand back, let the ball drop, and use that contact point to practice your friction. You will definitely feel the difference. Do not try to practice generating maximum spin at the highest point of the bounce. Most amateur players cannot master the timing for that. Because players rush to hit the ball at its peak, by the time they make contact, their racket is behind the ball, not underneath it. I want you to create a different dynamic. As the ball drops down, your racket comes up. This opposition of forces creates maximum spin. This produces the spinniest ball possible. Master the feeling of this opposing force to create friction. Once you have this, your power loops will be effortless. Focus on gripping the ball. Otherwise, you're just hitting it flat. Move your contact point to the falling phase and you will definitely feel the difference. Okay, the final key point. This one is extremely important. Let's talk about the racket path. To be precise, let's use a clock face. This is 12 o'clock, and this is 6 o'clock. For a forehand loop, your racket head should point towards 6 o'clock in the backswing. So, 5 o'clock is here. Then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And finally 12 o'clock. We start the backswing at 6 o'clock. To generate friction, we all want to achieve that feeling of a gripping or wrapping the ball. What does wrapping mean? It looks like this. Of course, the motion isn't this large in reality. It's the subtle curve in your stroke that creates the wrap. Here's the method. Start your backswing at 6 o'clock. Contact the ball around 5 or 4:30. After contact, let the racket head continue to 3 o'clock. So, you pass 3 o'clock, then continue forward to 2, 1, and finish around 12 o'clock. The exact finish point isn't critical. To simplify, just focus on making your racket head perform this wrapping motion. From 6 o'clock, wrap the ball. See how complete that curve is? This is the same for penholders. This is why penholders often have great forehands. Their backswing naturally starts at 6 o'clock. Shakehand players sometimes get tense and start way up at 10 o'clock. With every degree of rotation, the racket head moves forward 1 hour on the clock. 6 o'clock is here, then 5, then 4, then 3. See? That's 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, then 2, 1, and 12 are here. Let the entire racket face rotate through this path. This creates the structural wrap needed for friction. Once you have this feeling in the racket head, the full stroke will come together naturally. A power loop is just an acceleration of this motion. I'm making my racket head create a perfect wrapping arc. With a path like that, how can the shot not be good? So why do we make mistakes? Because your backswing starts at 9 o'clock and you just lift the racket straight up to 12. Or you swing from 9 o'clock straight backward. The racket head leads, and the arm follows, creating a perfect structural frame for your forehand. This is the source of what we call wrapping the ball, gripping the ball, and creating a perfect loop trajectory. Don't lead with your arm, that causes a flat, pushing motion. Let the racket face lead the way. Imagine your racket head rotating to complete this arc. Your entire arm structure will naturally form around it. If you go straight from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, or just lift it to 12, that is an incorrect motion. So, let your racket head do the rotating. For a forehand drive, it's from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Watch the racket head, 9 to 12. For a forehand loop against backspin, I simply start lower. It's from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Can you see the semicircle? If you perfect this arc, you can power loop anything. A power loop is just the same trajectory, executed faster. Faster, and more compact. But what happens if your stroke structure isn't stable? You can make the shot when you swing slowly, but as soon as you accelerate, you make a mistake. You must stabilize your stroke frame first. That's the key to consistency. And this is just in a fixed point drill. What happens when you have to move your feet, or when the spin changes? This is why some players look like pros in practice but amateurs in a real match. Stabilize your frame first. Let the racket head create the arc, which then guides the arm. The elbow follows naturally. Don't create conflicting movements, like having your racket head here while your elbow jets out. That's a disconnected motion. Your arm should naturally follow the path set by the racket head to generate force. Let me demonstrate a couple.